Hi, my name is Rich Harrington, and welcome to this edition of Video Adrenaline, where today we're going to be exploring the interaction between Adobe Photoshop and After Effects. We're going to look at a technique today that I really like, which is being able to modify the depth of field blurring inside of a clip after the fact. I'm going to show you how we can do it using the lens blur filter. Let's take a look. Now, in this particular shot, it's well shot footage. I like it quite a bit, but I'd like the background to be a little more out of focus. So I'm going to show you a simple way, then we're going to take a look at a more complex way to pull off this very technique. Let's park on a frame that's representative, and we'll choose Composition, Save Frame as File. Now when we do that, it's going to write out a still image. I could pick a file format, it names it, and we'll just click Save. Hit Render, and the file is done. Let's jump on in over to Photoshop here and open that up. Now what I'm going to do is create a matte. In order for this to work, I want to work with a grayscale image, and we're essentially going to add black where we want things to be more blurry and white where we want it to be less blurry. Let's go ahead and strip out the color, Shift-Command-U, or better yet, Image Adjustments, Black and White. And this will let you put emphasis in different colors. Now if you click Auto, it does a pretty good job, but I actually like to do this with an adjustment layer, and here's why. We'll choose Black and White and then use this little On Image tool. And this allows me to manually adjust the areas by dragging to the right that I want brighter. And then I can come over here and drag to the left to darken other areas down. And we're just trying to get a decent amount of contrast, and that's looking okay. And you've got a lot of controls here. Pull those yellows down there. That's pretty good. And when I'm satisfied, we'll just go ahead and flatten those two layers. And to make things simple, all you're trying to do is create some separation between foreground and background. That looks good. I'm going to grab my paintbrush, flip over to white, and paint in the area that should be foreground. Right bracket, bigger brush, left bracket, smaller, shift right bracket, hard brush, shift left bracket, soft. And we're just creating a gentle sort of transition zone here where we want the focus to be. That's looking pretty good. In fact, to make things easier, let's just select that and we'll put that on a new layer. There we go. New layer, and we'll fill. So far we've got our person. And let's just go ahead and take a look at the background here. And we're going to fill this in with some black textures. So let's start. Let's go ahead and turn that top layer off and select the background, and we'll fill that with black for what's farthest away. I'm then going to grab the gradient tool and go from white to black. And in doing so, I've created a transition zone where it knows that white is closest or in focus, and this is out of focus. We could do a little levels adjustment there, or clip the whites to put a little further away, or drag the middle level slider as needed. And if we turn that other layer back on, you see that's looking pretty good. Let's just blur that person a bit so it's a little softer. And I'll make that just a little bigger. There we go. And at this point, I've got a pretty good texture. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and we'll call that map. Let's go ahead and close that and switch on over to After Effects, and we'll just bring that map file in. Now when I import that, I'm going to bring it in as footage, so it comes in as a flattened layer. And we can drop that into our composition. Now you see that that's created basically an area of defining where the person in the background is. I can now select the layer and apply the lens blur. With the lens blur applied, you can also apply a depth matte and then turn that layer off. Now, once you've done that, it's going to use that. In this case, if it's the wrong direction, just click Invert. And as we increase the amount of blur, you'll see that objects that are farther away start to fall off. And importantly, as we zoom in here, let's take a look. We can also put a little bit of noise back into that area. That way, once you've blurred it, it still has some grain structure. I'll put in some monochromatic noise. There we go. That looks good. If I toggle that effect off, you see that we've very much adjusted how the background falls out of focus. But if we look at our person, there has been no change to the focus of the person. And where we had that gradiated background, poles behind him start to fall off more and more out of focus. So that works great. Now the thing is if you had to go a step further, you could take advantage of a new feature in After Effects called the rotobrush. And you could essentially rotoscope out the person and set them on top of the background layer. In that case, you just apply the depth matte to the entire background and let it fall out of focus and put a clean copy of the person on top, letting you have a little bit further control over the blurring. But this works great. If the person isn't moving a whole bunch, then you could just use that static map to create the depth matte and define what's in focus and what's out. For Creative Cow, my name's Rich Harrington.